Hey everyone, welcome to Kempner Canucks. If you're new to the channel, my name is RevTrev, and as you can see, I'm a massive Canucks fan. But tonight, whenever you're watching this video, it's an NHL conversation. Now, it does affect every team in the NHL, especially my Vancouver Canucks. But I want to kind of take an outside view of this tonight. And so as we dive into this conversation, the big question is, has the no movement clauses killed the NHL? And a lot of people are saying it on different podcasts, different videos. And I've been thinking about it a lot lately, and especially what's going on in Vancouver. It's been amplified, but every team, and we've seen it over and over and over, that has these no movement clauses, and the NHL has changed. And so let's just do a definition of what a no movement clause is and why we would think it possibly could be killing the NHL as we know it, because the whole league has shifted contract-wise because the salary cap, the no movement clauses, some of them aren't all no movement clauses. Some of them are modified no trade clauses where there's a 13-team no trade clause, or a 10-team or a 5-team, whatever it is, 15-team. So there's a bunch of ways that they're doing it nowadays. And it's just really interesting how they've tried to do it. Now, in the past, they used to do, we'll give you more money and if you don't have a no trade clause. But now almost every one is being, like, every general manager has the pressure to include a no movement clause into players' extensions and contracts, whether they're free agents, whether they're already part of your team, whether you've just you've drafted them and you want to give them that after the entry level contract, you want to give them that next extension. That is that, or just extend some of your veteran players. General managers are under that. Now, if you're talking about free agents, they're not coming to your team to sign a deal if you don't give them a no movement clause. Like, two teams, similar situations, similar money, they're going to take the deal that is the no movement clause. The players know this, the owners and the general managers know this. And so now that's why general managers feel this incredible pressure, and you're seeing it a ton. And so let's just give a definition here as we talk about it. We'll just move this over here, and so you can see this. So the no movement clauses, okay, in the NHL were officially formalized and standardized in the 2005 collective bargaining agreement, or what we call the CBA. But this is just a quick AI search because the internet reigns for this kind of stuff. Key details regarding the introduction of the no movement clauses. Purpose was introduced alongside the salary cap in 2005 to give players protection against being buried in the minors, sent down, or traded. And that's still the case today. Players were being mishandled, right, by teams. And if we're honest, NHL teams don't always treat their players very well. Like, if you don't produce, you're gone, you're done. There was no loyalty from the management to the players, and a lot of players got hosed in these deals, right? And rightfully so, but also there was a lot of unfair things. Like, for example, these are guaranteed contracts, and so that's a good thing for a lot of these players. But like, coaches are under guaranteed. If you sign a coach for 4 seasons and in the first season you don't like how he's playing and you fire him, I believe you still have to pay him for all those years following. For players, they've got guaranteed contracts. And so this is big money. This is millions and millions of dollars, right? So the definition of a no movement clause prevents a player from being involuntarily relocated via trade, loan, or waiver claim. And then the eligibility, no movement clauses, and no trade clauses are generally restricted to players eligible for Group 3 unrestricted free agency, typically 7 years of service or age 27 and older. Okay. Now it's evolved, and it says while similar protection existed in rare informal cases earlier, such as Daryl Sittler's in the 1970s, the 2005 CBA formalized them as a standard contractual. I'm having a problem with that option. The 2020 CBA further strengthened them by ensuring that, unlike in the past, trade protection cannot be permanently removed. While no movement clauses were standardized in 2005, they've come increasingly common in recent years due to the younger free agency and players' leverage. So that's the thing. And you know what? We're going to talk about certain different scenarios in the NHL over the last couple of years. But when it comes to fan bases, they don't always understand the cap and the no movement clauses, the no trade clauses, okay? And we as fans are biased about our team and our players, and we expect faithfulness because they're making millions. The thing is they're going to make millions wherever they go. So they have more control, and players have more control and want to control where they live and where they play. And it's not wrong to do that. For example, if we just talk about the NBA for 2 seconds, LeBron James is the king of just saying, I'm going to play for this team for 4 years. I'm not going to commit to playing anywhere else. I don't want to play. Sorry, I'm not going to commit to staying. I did a 4-year contract. That's how long I'm going to stay. They try to get their buddies to come. They try to do these super teams. The NBA's done that, right? The NHL was looking at it going, hey, I like that. And so players have way more control. The problem is teams are getting hosed, and they have assets that they need to get. Like, these assets are worth a lot. For example, the Johnny Gaudreau contract. He was under contract. They were trying to re-sign him, and they couldn't get a deal done, and he walked, and the Calgary Flames literally got nothing for him, and he went and signed with the Columbus Blue Jackets. That was a devastating thing that happened to Calgary, right? Thankfully, Matthew Tkachuk didn't do that same thing. He said, I want to trade out of here. So they were able to trade him and get Weegar and Huberdeau and try to some kind of recoup something for Matthew Tkachuk. And so this is what's going on. And so players want to control. Hey, listen, I don't want to just get traded to whatever team, best team. Okay, we'll just use Vancouver, for example. I don't want to get traded to Vancouver because Vancouver's last place. Who knows when they're going to be good again, right? And this is really important that players can have some control, and the owners, or I should say the general managers, can have some control. But what's happened is now general managers have really been the ones holding the bag, I guess is what they call it, or being in very sticky situations. Vancouver is one of them. In fact, I went through and counted all the no movement clauses the Vancouver Canucks have, and I think there's 11 of them with the new contracts, that the extensions, like the Demko one and the Garland one that kicks in next year. Okay, 11. Now Toronto Maple Leafs only have 5, but every team has them. And some people say, well, that's the general manager's fault. Well, it is, but it isn't. Like, not everyone wants to come to your market. Not everyone wants to comment. But if you dangle that no movement clause and they have a bit of control, they're like, hey, listen, I'll come. You give me the money, give me the no movement clause, and I'll consider coming. And because NHL teams in the past have not always treated players well, there's been a bigger push. Okay, I'm going to get into your comments in just a minute, but I want to talk about 3 scenarios, okay? First of all, I want to talk about the Mitch Marner scenario. The Toronto Maple Leafs tried to trade Mitch Marner. Oh, no, tried to re-sign and extend Mitch Marner, and he wasn't re-signing. In fact, I think he wasn't treated very well. He was considered the scapegoat of the reasons why they struggled, and they needed a new core, and Mitch became the scapegoat in that scenario. And then he was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm not going to resign with you guys. When they found that out, they tried to trade Mitch to the Carolina Hurricanes, who were in a very similar situation. Rantanen got traded, did not have a no trade clause. He got traded from Colorado, which was shocking. Rantanen said, I wanted to sign back in Colorado. I would have even taken less money. And they shipped him out to Carolina from Colorado. He was devastated. McKinnon was upset. They got Nashis in return. They gave Nashis almost $12 million. Rantanen said, I would have taken that kind of money. And now he's stuck in Carolina. And he tells the management there, he says, listen, everyone, I'm not going to resign here. You need to move me. So in the same season, Rantanen gets offered to Toronto for Mitch Marner, and Mitch Marner says, no thanks. I do not want to go to Carolina. Now, here's the thing about Carolina. They have a good team, okay? They definitely have a good team. But what they don't have is a good stadium. In fact, many people say it's the worst stadium in the NHL, or the Saddle Dome in Calgary. Okay, there's an argument there. So Mitch is like, I'm not going to Carolina. Forget that. And he rejects the trade for Rantanen. Now, Toronto Maple Leaf fans are ticked because, listen, we could have got Rantanen. Look how good Rantanen is and has become. And so that gets vetoed because of the no movement clause that Mitch Marner had. Rantanen gets traded now to Dallas. Mitch Marner does not sign, wants to sign with Vegas. They do a sign and trade, so they get something for him. And they get a little bit in return. Derek Roy, or Waugh, some people say, came in return, but just nothing compared to what his value was worth. And now Mitch Marner gets paid, and he's playing in Vegas, and he's loving life, and he's accepted and appreciated by the fans, and they are now Cup contenders again. So that's the Mitch Marner scenario, and Leaf fans are mad. Like, Mitch left us, and he hung us out to dry. And it's like, you know what? Mitch was tired of all the complaining and all the scapegoating and all the negativity towards him. And he had that. The general manager gave him that option, and he exercised that, and it was within his rights to do that. And there's nothing wrong with what Mitch did. Now, as a fan that you're biased and you want faithfulness, I get it. But this is their life and their career as well. And the general manager gave them that option. Rantanen, on the other hand, didn't have the option, and somehow Carolina still send him to a place. And listen, Colorado loses him, as having a phenomenal year, but Rantanen goes to Dallas, and that's one of their rivals, their division rivals. And it's like, whoa, this just got heated fast. Let's go to another scenario, okay? JT Miller. Vancouver Canucks are very excited. Pettersson, Hughes, JT Miller. They've got Demko. They got Hronek signed up. They've got, these are the players that they're excited about the future. They go to the playoffs. They beat Nashville, and they take the Edmonton Oilers to Game 7. And they lose, 3-2 in Game 7. And then after that, everyone's like, wow, this team's jumbled together. Alvin and Rutherford went and got Zadorov and Lindholm, and they were like, we're going to go all in for this season. We're going to try our best, foot forward. And it ends. They lose Zadorov to free agency because they mess up that contract with him. He walks and gets a good-sized contract in Boston. Boston also takes Lindholm on. We lose both of them for free. And then we're like, okay, it's fine. We still have JT Miller. We still have Pettersson. We still have Quinn Hughes. We're going to build on that. And then everything starts falling apart and the rift happens, or at least it comes out. And now they're trying to work this out and it won't work out. And they're like, listen, JT, listen, you're the older guy. Pettersson's the younger guy. They give Pettersson the big contract, the whole thing. Miller just had signed a big $8 million times 8-year deal. Pettersson then goes and signs an $11.6 million deal for 8 seasons, okay, each year. And Pettersson falls off the cliff the moment he signs the deal. Miller's mad because he didn't show up in shape. Other people are upset about that. He wasn't ready for the season. He had signed this big contract. It got ugly and super fast. And they deemed we got to move JT. So JT Miller has a no movement clause. Guess what? He only wants to go to one team, everyone. And that's his right. So they're in negotiations with the New York Rangers. And here's the problem. We didn't get the return that we could have got a year before. Now you're stuck. He only wants to be with one team. So we get Mancini, who is a prospect that could turn into something. We get a first-round pick, and we get Filip Chytil. Problem with Filip Chytil is he has concussion problems, has injury history, right? That is a very, very interesting scenario, right? And that's where we want to be able to get this going. We want this to be able to get this going, okay? So we're just sitting there watching this unfold. I had to just do something on Twitter because for some reason they're not broadcasting there through this app anymore very well. So JT Miller gets traded for very little. Then Chytil gets hurt, right? Mancini is, up and down the lineup, and they take that first pick and trade it for Marcus Pettersson, and there's a whole other deal there. But the Canucks were stuck. There was nothing they could do, and they got the best that they could get with that contract. And some people wanted Zibanejad or Trocheck. They weren't interested in trading those guys, and maybe the Canucks weren't interested in Zibanejad coming back because of his age. They wanted youth, but Chytil hasn't panned out and has had nothing but injuries since. And who knows if he's going to play again. So that's the JT Miller scenario. Now fast forward to this weekend. Or this week, actually. Canucks are in a rebuild now. And they have a deal in place with the Detroit Red Wings for apparently a second-round pick for Myers. Myers is a 36-year-old player. He is a right-handed shot defenseman. He's played so many years in the league. He hasn't played in the playoffs very much, but he's tall. He's got some physicality to him. He's got a decent shot every once in a while. We call him Chaos Giraffe in Vancouver because you never know what you're going to get with him. Either he's going to be really good, or he could be really bad, or he could just be steady Eddie, right? But he has to sign off on this deal. And the Canucks are in a rebuild. He's got this season to finish off at $3 million and next year at $3 million. And the Canucks are like, hey, Detroit wants you, man. Would you consider moving your no trade clause, waiving it, so that we can trade you? And he says, you know what? I'm not sure. I don't know if I want to. I want to retire in Vancouver. And we know apparently he has his son is not well. He's from Kelowna or has a home in Kelowna. And this is his retirement idea. He had a huge contract with Vancouver, $6 million times 6 years. Back in those days, that was a huge contract. Now he's done, what is it? Was it $3 million times 3 years? And he wants to ride into the sunset with Vancouver. But we're in a losing culture. We're in a rebuild stage. And he's like, I don't know if I want to move. And he's saying, actually, and it's what we're hearing now is that he's actually not overly interested in going to Detroit, even though they're going to make the playoffs or push for the playoffs. And maybe they contend. Who knows? And he's like, you know what? I'm not sure if I want to do that. And you know what? It hurts the Canucks. But the Canucks offered him the no trade clause. So he can't get mad at Tyler. That's his right. So here we are. This is what the no movement clause has done, right? So look at every team in the NHL. You can go on the sites and find it out. I use Puckpedia, and it shows which ones have no trade clause. I think this is the solution, okay? And I should write this down, okay? Let's see. The solutions, okay? I'm going to put the solution, the no movement clause solution is this, that every NHL team can only have 3 no movement clauses on their roster. That's what I think. Maybe even 5 would be good, but I'm going to go with 3 because it makes it more interesting. The NHLPA would not go for this, but this would make, in my opinion, hockey better. What do you think about my suggestion? This is the no movement clause solution. Every NHL team can have only 3 no movement clauses on their roster. I love this idea, but maybe it's not practical. Maybe it won't work. I mean, let's look at Toronto has 5. We have 11. We kind of hooped ourselves for sure on that one. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I want to dive into that. I'm just going to hit the promo, and then I'm going to get into your comments, and I want to hear what you have to say about this because I find this so interesting, and I'm so glad you're here. Hit the like and subscribe, everyone. I appreciate you being here. Let's dive into the promo, and then I'll get to your comments. So I'm suggesting maybe the NHL's adding and allowing the no movement clauses has killed the NHL in a lot of ways, killed a lot of trade scenarios. Trade deadline days aren't as good anymore. The off seasons aren't as good. Most people are just extending with their teams, but some are wanting out. And then you're getting stuck with the Mitch Marner thing, the JT Miller thing, the Tyler Myers thing. And so I'm suggesting that the no movement clause solution is that every NHL team can only have 3 no movement clauses on their roster. What do you think? I'm going to dive into your comments, everyone, and I'm so glad. So Petretti says, I personally don't think that he doesn't think that the new no movement clauses have killed the NHL, but there is an argument that the no movement clause has destroyed the Canucks roster. Callum says players fold like napkins when they realize that they're in a rebuild. Myers is not waiving his no trade to Detroit. It's Dallas or bust for Myers. Well, what if Dallas doesn't want him? What if Dallas is only offering a 4th round pick for Tyler Myers? Would you still do it? Is it worth it? Callum thinks he's going to go to Dallas. I mean, if Dallas is interested. If I was Dallas, I wouldn't be offering a 2nd round pick for him. I would just be saying, I'll offer you a 3rd. And now you're stuck. They know you're stuck, right? 9% of players have no movement clauses. 24% of players have trade restrictions of some sort. That's a lot. That does seem too high. It is because it is too high. It is too high. So he's going to take back his first comment. I wasn't aware it was so high. T8161 says Myers to Dallas for a 2026 3rd and Hemming. Yeah, I mean, that might be. If I was Dallas, I would just say a 3rd and that's it. Excuse me, I got to take a drink of water. Next year, Myers has a 13 no team trade list if he doesn't move this year, Canucks are pushing him to move now. We know that, absolutely. Rod says, let's get it done, right? Where does Myers' brother play again? I'm not sure where he plays. Is it Kansas? I'm not sure. I thought he was in the NHL. Maybe not. Offer from Detroit is a second and boo him. No, it's not. The offer from Detroit is just a second. It's not boo him. Connor Bedard. No, we're not getting Connor Bedard for Tyler Myers. Come on, man. But I'm all in. But that's the thing. Like, Connor Bedard is going to sign a no movement clause, right? Maybe he's not going to sign at all. Maybe he just walks after his stuff ends and he ends up signing with a team like Vancouver that he's from, or players have the option to do that, right? But he's not going anywhere. I think he's going to stay in Chicago his whole career. Well, I mean, maybe he'll come to Vancouver. Who knows? Yeah, it doesn't sound like he's going to be waving to go to Detroit. I'm shocked, though. Like, listen, Tyler Myers is good, but, you know, you've got an opportunity to try to make the playoffs. Now, I get it. Do you think Dallas has a better shot? Sure. If you can get traded to Dallas, go for it. They have a better shot probably than Detroit. But maybe Dallas doesn't want him. Brian says, I heard management is pushing him to take the offer because Dallas not really interested in Myers. Too much money on the cap. Well, I mean, it's only $3 million, but who knows? Yeah. Natchez is awesome. He went to, that was a pretty good thing. See, that's the thing. Pettersson, there was a deal on the table, apparently, that Pettersson was going to go to Carolina and we were going to get Natchez. So, but instead, Carolina got him. Oh, not Carolina. Colorado got him. Look how good he's playing with McKinnon. Don't worry, everyone. He won't check the comments. Oh my goodness. He'll be worth almost the same next year. Is that what you're talking about? Are you talking about Myers will be the same? Yeah, he's not going to the Booyam's not going to their Z's brother. Okay, yeah. Okay. I bet we'll get the same return this summer for him. Maybe. So we're talking about Myers' brother was drafted last year by Detroit. Is that true? I don't know the answer to that question. 3 no movement clauses would be great, but the NHLPA would never go for it. I agree. The NHLPA will never, ever go for that, but that's what the NHL needs to do. Players Association would need a lot of compensation to let the league implement that rule. I get it. Myers next year has a 13 team no trade if he doesn't move this year. Yeah, easier to move. I like your idea, but I think the bigger issue is the full no movement clause. If players had only, say, a 10-team no trade, GM's hands aren't tied. Maybe that's good, and they can actually do their jobs. Unless, so in this scenario, what if Detroit's on that list for Tyler Myers? We're in the same scenario, right? So, but I agree with you 100%. Maybe we should do that. I'd rather remove partial no movement lists altogether, either no move or move. That's fair. Settle down now. In the summer, you can send him to some fringe playoff team grasping for playoffs. We'll probably also pay a second round for him. I don't know. If I was a team, I wouldn't give a second round pick for him. You would want him for this year and next. That's what you're paying him for. You don't just want him for 1 year. Is this why the Canucks went to move him? I don't think that's why they did. They're trying to rebuild. That's why. Send him to Buffalo. I'm sure he's not interested in going to Buffalo. Oh, actually, he's from Buffalo. Maybe he would be. Maybe. I don't see Myers waving for anyone but a contender. I agree. And then if Myers goes, Garland has to go next. He doesn't have to go next. All his best friends have gotten traded. No, it's not like that. It's not like that. So, yeah, I've appreciated you guys diving in. This is my solution, but maybe I'm wrong on that one. Maybe it's just that we have a no trade list for about 10 teams max. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. And then it would allow trading a little bit more room for teams like the general managers to be able to do something. And it's okay. The players can be a little selfish because the teams can be selfish as well. So it gives them both something there. So couldn't believe Rutherford said Hronek is untouchable. We hate a good return. I know it's not that at all. In fact, Rutherford just said on that podcast today that the list of untouchable of trading people is pretty decent size, right? So there's not a lot of untouchables on this list. Hronek is a solid defensive defenseman, does the things that you want. It's hard to replace a guy like Hronek that can play top line minutes, right? So top line minutes is hard to do. But yeah, we're not. This is the things about settle down now. I just need to remind us this: they aren't going to do a tear it down to the studs because they have the no movement clauses. They can't do it. They can't do it. Apparently, Besser said today that he's willing to remove his no movement clause. I kind of find that hard to believe, but that would be great because he has not played well since signing this contract, and it's a long contract. But he just married a girl from Vancouver, and he just signed a long-term contract with the Canucks. So I'd be shocked, but we'll see. Some people think that Hronek is going to get the C, right? Yeah, depending on the team. Again, it comes down to a no movement clause. He's in control, everyone. He's in control. You know where he probably would love to go, which they can't afford? Minnesota, right? Minnesota right now is a contender. Wouldn't that be awesome? We would have to probably retain some salary there. So, yeah, anyways, I think it's just an interesting topic. It's relevant today. It's been relevant for years. And this is where we are. Has the no movement clauses killed the NHL? Have they? Okay. Myers doesn't have a brother who plays hockey. He has a half brother, Quentin Grimes, who plays in the NBA with Philadelphia. Oh, I didn't know that. If LA doesn't have the assets to get Petey, could you see a third team getting involved? I do not think Elias Pettersson's getting traded at all. At all. I know everyone wants to think that's going to happen. He's got a no movement clause. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think we're stuck with Elias Pettersson and that contract. Okay? So I don't think any team's involved. I don't think any team. I think Carolina's shown interest. I don't know if LA has officially, but Pettersson's not going anywhere, in my opinion. I would love it if he got traded for the right price. Absolutely. Absolutely. Please, no more trading to the Central Division, right? Right? Absolutely. Absolutely. So, thanks everyone for showing up today. I'm going to call it a video. Please share this with all your friends. This is an interesting conversation. If you're in a Facebook group or in an Instagram group or hockey fans, please text them this video. I'd love to hear their thoughts. If you're watching this live, you've posted some comments, but if you can post comments later, and I'd love to connect with you and connect back about different people who comment on this video. So hope you have a great day, and go Canucks go. And maybe the no movement clauses has killed the NHL, but we'll see what happens. Maybe Tyler Myers still gets traded. Maybe other teams still get traded. You still can get traded. You just have control. Have a good night. Go Canucks go.